Hi guys, thanks for joining me again. I'm going to show you how to tie a claret Shipman's two ways. So this is the first one I'm going to show you with the ultra dry yarn and as the breathers, and the other one is using foam as an alternative. Now there's two reasons for using both, and I'll discuss that as we get into it. So without further ado, let's get to it. So in the vise is a Hanak H230 barbless hook. It's at size 12 and it's a medium wire hook in black nickel. Now I'm using the medium wire hook rather than the H130s, which is a proper dry fly hook, because these are for fishing on reservoirs, and if you use the dry fly hooks with a 7-weight kit, more than likely you will bend out your hook. So I use slightly heavier hooks for the reservoirs. And it works well. You tend to keep most of the fish you catch. So the first version of the Shipman's I'm going to use is going to be the foam. So what I'm using for the thread is UTC, and it's red, and I'll just check the denier. It's 140 denier. First thing I'm going to do is get some wax onto the thread, and I'm going to catch in just behind the eye there. Use the rat's tail to bring your thread down to where a barb would be on a hook approximately. Then remove your waste. Now I'm using some of this foam sheeting from Uphaven Fly Fishing. All I've done is taken a ruler and I've cut myself off a small strip like so. You can see here, approximately 4mm wide, and I've also already measured up sections, and I've cut out sections because I'm tying a few of these so I don't have to muck about trimming. So lay that on your hook so that it's evenly spaced between the front of the eye and the back of the hook. Then just very lightly bring a turn over, and then in open turns just come up the hook till you get to the front. Now at the front, make sure you've not come right up to the eye, because you do need a little bit of space at the front here to finish off. So once you've got that in place, you can then concentrate on just flattening out that foam on the body. It's a very quick fly to tie. Probably takes me longer to explain it to you than it does to tie. But just get that on. Just make sure it's all sitting right, and I think that's just a little bit long on that side, so I'm going to remove a tiny bit. Same with this, just not happy with the length there. Next I'm going to use a silver rib for the fly. It's the Vineyards number 27 silver, and I've got a little bit taken off here, and I'm going to capture that just onto the body. Make sure that's all in place. And for the body of this, I'm using some seals fur. This one's from Cook's Hill Fly Tying, and it's a light claret, and I've already taken a bit out the packet. Now sometimes you don't want to wax your thread when you're adding dubbing, but I always find with seals fur it pays to get a bit of wax onto your thread, because the seals fur can be a bit of a bugger to dub on, so the wax just helps that whole process. So get a nice healthy amount on. Just make sure you work it in there with your fingers, it does help. Now I'm using red thread because regardless of how much body you put on, the thread does make a difference. So if I used black, once the fly is wet, it does show up. When you've got to the end, you can bring your rib over. You probably get about 4 turns in the opposite direction, make sure you trap that in. And what I like to do is bring back the foam, make sure I've caught the rib in at the head there, 2 or 3 turns, and then I can twist that away like so. I'm just going to add a couple of turns of thread before putting a little bit of UV onto the thread. Then a couple of turns, you can come in with your whip finish or your half hitch or hand finish, whichever you prefer. I've started to do this as a matter of course now, although I still am not convinced it was any better than what I was doing before, but never mind, I've got into the habit now, and that's all it is really. You know, if you're happy doing something, just keep doing it. Okay, once you've done that, get your dubbing brush and you can come in and really rough out. Now some people like to leave it so it's all closed in, but I find personally the more roughed out it is and the more fish come and whack it, the more takeable the fly is. So there's the foam version, and that's really good. If you're catching fish quickly, stick with the foam version, because you don't have to treat it. You know, once you've ginked it up before you start fishing, you're good to go. But some folks don't like that. They don't like using foam in their fly tying. I've got no problem with it at all. So there's the foam version. So I'm putting the same hook in the vise for the next one. So that's the Hanak 230, and again, first thing I'm going to do, a bit of wax onto the thread and catch in a bed of thread down the shank of the hook to where the barb would be. Remove your waste. Now I'm using, you can use Aero Wing or any polypropylene, is it? I'm using the ultra dry yarn anyway in white, and because I've been tying a few of these up, I've already got a little section of this cut out. Now I'm going to lay that onto the shank of the hook, and I can trim it up later, so as long as I've got it roughly where I want it, I'll catch that in. Now the difference between what I would do with the foam is I would pull this back and just get 3 or 4 turns just in behind the poly yarn there, because I want it to sort of sit up at an angle. Now the advantage you've got with this is you can make it sit right in the film if need be, and the way you do that is by angling your breathers here. So I've got that in place. Again, I'm going to get bit of wax on my thread before catching in my rib. Again, it's just the same rib as what I used with the foam version. And I've got that in. Same dubbing. Bit of wax on. Yeah, seals fur can be a bit unruly when you're using it for dubbing, and it just needs a lot of work on your getting on the thread. So plenty of pressure on your thumb and forefinger when you're wrapping that. Now again, if you decide to use a different coloured thread, you get a different effect. But red works well with the claret. The red works well. I've also found white thread very good actually for this. So I'm just doing the same again, bringing my rib over. I'm going to do a little bit tighter pack this time. And then again I brought it to the front of the eye, and I'm just going to catch that at the front. Once I've got 2 or 3 turns in, I can keep tension on my thread, twist away the rib. So far so good. I can then add a little bit resin just to finish it off. Again, I'll get a couple of turns. Come on with a whip finish. Oops, that went away. Still not quite got it. There we go. Then I can simply remove my thread. Yeah, I was just a way to grab my brush there. Make sure you cure off your resin, or you wait for your head cement or super glue to dry before you do the next bit. Now, I'm just wanting to tidy this up a little bit at the back and a little bit at the front. And as you can see, if I cock these up and then come in again, rough it out, and you get a really pleasing effect. And then you gink that up, and what you've got is a super effective dry fly. I've found them best September, very early October. They're just lethal. So we've got Dave's Shipman to thank for that pattern, and you know, you take your choice, the foam version or the Prolly prop version. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please think about clicking the subscribe button now.